One, I am Michelle Renee, and thank you again for joining our podcast. Education Nation airs every Sunday at noon for 1 hour. Our intention is to raise awareness about the decline in literacy and to examine solutions to address the literacy problem. Today, we're going to talk to attorney and professor Loretta Spencer about civics and ethical literacy. But before we do, let me tell you, or let me have you get information about our sponsor.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Okay, so today we have with us our guest, attorney and professor Loretta Spencer. I started to say Loretta. And the subject is civics and ethical literacy. Um, Professor Spencer received her Juris Doctorate from Thomas M. Cooley Law School, Western Michigan University in 2006. She attained a master's degree in jurisprudence in child law from Loyola University and a Bachelor of Arts as a double major in criminal justice and psychology from the University of Chicago. I love educated sisters. I just love smart sisters. And I'm happy to have her on today. She's been licensed and practiced and a practicing attorney since 2007 in a private practice. A professor with the City College of Chicago, she teaches business law and criminal justice. As she taught business law and criminal justice as an adjunct, but currently she is a full-time instructor at City College of Chicago, and Kennedy King is her home base, my home base. Welcome, my colleague, Loretta Spencer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Just one correction.
Okay,
My bachelor's in criminal justice and psychology was from the University of Illinois at Chicago, so
at
UIC.
Chicago. Okay, awesome.
Just for
Thank you for that.
transparency's sake.
Yes, absolutely. I want to give and thank you for correcting me.
No worries.
Um, I we decided um to have someone come on this podcast to talk about our young people. Given that many of our youth are involved in these teen takeovers, not only in Chicago, but in other cities as well. And then we do have other group of young people that are involved in fighting the systematic racism that they're experiencing, and racial inequality, police brutality, and against all most minorities. They're experiencing things that they had never experienced before. So we have two groups of young people, and there are there's two sides to a coin that could lead either group in handcuffs. So we thought that both these groups of young people would benefit from knowledge, information, abilities, and principles that they need in order to properly engage in democracy. So, if you can answer the question for us, what is civics literacy and ethical literacy? What is
Okay.
that?
So, civic literacy is really about the study and the understanding of how our government works. It encompasses knowing your rights, duties, and obligations as a citizen, understanding how our laws are created, and also being knowledgeable about how citizens can engage in improving their own communities and being a part of the political system. Whereas ethic literacy is really not necessarily just about what is legal, but also what is right. So ethics is a little bit different than what's legal, in that it encompasses what's legal, but also encompassing making sure that there are no improprieties, and that there are things are done in a right and proper fashion, what's appropriate, as well as what's legal.
Why
Did you
is
want me to go?
either,
Did you want me to keep going here?
I want you to answer this question next. Why is
Okay.
either important?
Well, civic literacy is important because if individuals don't understand how our laws work, how the government works, um, what's involved in how our laws are created, then you really don't know how to engage. You really don't know how to use the system to work for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we always hear this saying about knowledge is power. Well, it
Yeah.
is. And a lot of times people feel like, well, what's in it for me? What's the point? You know, knowing about that doesn't matter. But that's what people want you to believe. Because if you don't engage and you don't learn and get an understanding of how the law works, then
Mm-hmm.
you become a product of how the law works on you and against you,
Right.
as opposed to
Um,
how you can work within the system to
okay.
achieve certain things.
Right.
And also literacy, I'm sorry, ethics is really about people doing the right thing. If you really want to get down to it, doing the right thing within the confines of the law,
Mm-hmm.
and also just as a individual, as a person, treating everyone fairly,
Mm-hmm.
um, being on the right side of the law, doing
Okay.
all the right things that are proper, right? There's some things that are legally wrong, but then there are other things that they're not necessarily legally wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but it impacts your morals, it impacts your character,
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. So when we talk about law, we like to see not only people that are following the law, but people that are treating people well, because the two honestly go hand in hand. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where you get this idea of crooked lawyers, because they don't do the right things.
Gotcha.
They're not on the right side of morality, if you will,
Gotcha.
right? And so some things are moral and other things are legal. But
Okay.
together
Mm-hmm.
they give us a much more well-rounded individual and
Mm-hmm.
system if we follow in those footsteps.
What you just said about a crooked lawyer and doing the right thing as far as being ethical is concerned, it
Yes.
reminded me of several situations that I'm aware of where young men are being held um, in the Cook County Jail. And I
Yes.
know this for a fact. And they're being held, like, I know one young man has been held for 3 years without being, I guess he's charged. Otherwise, they couldn't hold him, right? But he hasn't been convicted. Convicted.
Right.
And his court dates are being extended. You know, each time he presents himself to court, his lawyer didn't show up, the judge didn't show up, something else happened, and his court dates are being extended. and
Right.
he's just sitting there losing, and he's not the only one. I was on a call with a prayer call actually, and it was about 15 women on the prayer call, and everybody was putting in the chat what they want you to pray for, and there were about 5 different women that asked you to pray for their husband, their uncle, their brother, their son, because they are being held in jail, not in prison, in jail, not being charged. Well, they are being charged, but not being convicted. Am I right about that? Not being convicted because they are being charged, but
Yes.
nothing's happening. Their lives are at a standstill, and
Yes.
so can you speak to that? I know it's not
Absolutely.
a question that's on my list, but
That's okay.
Spice brought it
Um,
up.
this is something that has been discussed. Um, at one point, our former Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox was actually engaged in trying to change things in terms of. I always ask the question: what's the difference between someone who is being charged and being held in incarceration, and someone who is being charged who has been allowed to roam free? Both
Hmm.
of them are waiting on a court date
Right,
in order for the trial to take place. But in
right,
between being arrested and charged and being um, having a trial date, there's this period of time, as you mentioned,
hmm,
several court dates, nothing's happening. We're still waiting. Oh, this lawyer didn't show up. But there are people who are able to operate outside incarceration, even
right,
though they're in the same situation in terms of they haven't been convicted, but they've been charged. And so this was one of the things with cash bails and that kind of thing. Really, what it amounts to is the haves and the have nots.
wow,
And this is where, when you talk about um, what's lawful versus what's
hmm,
ethical,
hmm,
right? It's lawful that you can hold someone, but the law does say that individuals have a right to a speedy trial. What
but
does
how is
speedy
that
mean?
speedy? What
What does
exactly? What
speedy mean, right?
exactly?
And so there are rules around um, some of these things. But what happens is, depending on what's going on with that case, if the state is ready or not ready to proceed to trial, if the defense is ready or not ready to proceed with trial, then that keeps things in limbo, right?
Hmm.
And so that can extend the trial dates. If other things happen, those things can extend the trial dates. But again, I go back to the issue of what about the other individual who is not physically incarcerated but still being charged, and they're showing up to their court dates, but they're being able to be free? Why?
Hmm.
Because they have the money to bond out.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, when you look at the two situations, our former Cook County State's Attorney felt like Kim Fox felt like that was unfair. But not everybody agreed with her because, let's face it, they always tell you follow the money. Some
Right.
people feel that, wait a minute, I'm making more money when I'm able to get this bond money. I'm making more money when I'm able to have multiple court dates and
Hmm.
charge for each one of those court dates. But if the person doesn't have money, they don't they don't really care. If let's be honest.
That's just
I
so
don't want to say
heartbreaking.
nobody cares, but I'm
Right.
saying there's less concern about that individual because they don't have the money. They don't have the money to create the voice. Even though they have a right to an attorney, we know the law says that. The Constitution
Hmm.
gives us certain rights, right? But if you have money, you're able to um, create a better path, um, access uh, better resources, get a private attorney, not resort to Not that I am not saying that public defenders are bad. There are
Yeah,
some great public defenders.
certainly,
But
certainly.
what happens is when you're a public defender or when you work for the state or the government, you are inundated with cases.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more that you're inundated with cases, whereas a private attorney has the right to pick and choose, oh, I'll take this case, but no, I don't want that case. So they can be very selective,
It just
where the
sounds so
state, they have
unfair.
to take whatever comes.
It just sounds so completely unfair. But it's time for a commercial break. We have to last our sponsors speak. When I come back, I want to ask you about the three branches of government, how they are supposed to work, and what's happening. Why don't we feel like they're working like they should right now?
Have you seen all the solar farms popping up everywhere? You know, the big fields with the solar panels. There's one in our community. They produce electricity using the clean energy of the sun to send to the power grid to reduce our energy costs. Because not everybody can get solar panels put on their roof the way I have, but everybody can enroll for free to share the energy produced by the solar farms. That's why they were built. You know you're supposed to be getting a 10 to 20% savings on your bill for that, right? Illinois has a goal to transition by 2050 to 100% clean energy. So everybody needs to be connected. People in other communities are already getting their savings. So I'll be by to see you because they want to make sure you get your savings as well. It just takes a few minutes. I'm Naima Latif. Call me if you have any questions. 312-849-3456.
Okay, so the question is, what are the three branches of government? How are they supposed to work together for our good, right? And then why don't we feel like they're working together for our right now? And you can take as long as you want with that question, with those
Great
questions.
question. Great question. So let me start off with identifying the three branches of government. Just like when you were in high school and you had to take the constitutional law test, you got the legislative branch. The legislative branch is there to make laws. They make our laws, right? And pass them. You have the executive branch. The executive branch of government is there to enforce laws. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever laws we have that are valid on the books, they are to enforce the laws. And then we have the judicial branch. And the judicial branch is there to interpret the law. In other words, you may have a statute or you may have some case law or something. How do you interpret that? If you have a situation that comes before the court and it's the first of its kind, we don't have any precedented law, then how do we determine how this case should be ruled upon? Well, the judges have to interpret what the law intended and what the law meant by whatever the Congress passed as law, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot that goes into that. You can reach back to when Congress was trying to pass the law and the arguments they put on the floor to say, this is why this law would be important and this is why we want to pass this. You can research that. You also can tell by other precedented case law. And sometimes there's a string of cases that kind of follow a certain path and
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the law, so you can research those cases and okay, well, I found that this has consistently been the law. Sometimes you run into an issue where the law has been changed, right? Because at some point it seemed okay, but as we progressed, we found that this law is not necessarily good law anymore. And so the law can be changed when needed. So every branch of government has a role to play, right? And each one of those branches of government is separate. They're not intended to do the same thing. They all do different things intentionally, right? But they're also intended to somehow work complementary towards one another even though they don't do the same thing. And in the long run, what we should see is if we have people in Congress and people on the legislative branch and the executive branch and the judicial branch, those individuals, how they think, what perspectives they have, how they intend to move things forward, all matters, right? This is why we talk about not only what's legal, but what's ethical, right?
Yeah.
Because we have some people that will talk about the law all day, but in our heart of hearts, citizens know what's right. They may not understand every law and what it
Mhm.
means, and
Mhm.
but we all have been taught right and wrong from somewhere,
Right.
right? And so there's a fundamental, or there should be, I should say.
Mhm.
Let me not assume that, but
Right.
there is a fundamental um understanding of what is generally right and wrong, right? But how our society moves forward, the people that are involved in those three different branches of government, they impact how we move society forward. And we're seeing that in live color before our faces every day in the news play out in our society in America.
Yeah.
We are watching the things. We know what's right. And we are watching people who will not budge for various reasons, whether it's
And
power.
many of us see this and be like, why don't they do anything?
Well, here's the thing. And you ask the question, why isn't it working? Because we have sometimes people who decide, I'm going to stack the deck in my favor. They don't allow um, the three branches of government to move forward as they should. And that's what we've been seeing lately,
Yeah.
right? Um, we are stacking the deck. We're putting people in place that we want to do our bidding,
Hmm.
not our bidding, but some
Yeah.
folks' bidding, right?
Some folks bidding.
And
Hmm.
so what's happening is, well, if I can replace this senator who just passed away with their sibling who
Mm.
has no experience, who has no, I mean, how do we do that? How are we putting people in place that have no experience in these positions? It's all about self service,
And how can
right?
they get away with it? I see that they're getting away with things like that, but how is it possible that they're getting away with it? The
Because,
common everyday person, what can we do?
okay, that's a great question. So what's happening is, why are they getting away with it? Because people aren't speaking up and they aren't doing what they should be doing. The people that are being placed in those positions are being placed there to do what people want them to do,
Mm.
right? So if I'm putting you in a position and I'm making sure that you get paid and you get power, that's because I want something from you. It's called what we call quid pro quo,
Okay.
right? So
Explain that.
this is what I'm doing. I want power. I want to accomplish the things that I want to do. So I want to so badly that I'm willing to manipulate the way the system should work.
Hmm.
And also, the people that are in those positions are willing to play along with that for whatever benefits they can get. So it's being done unethically, right? Because people want to stay in power, people want to receive certain benefits, money. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's always the money, right? Money and power.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to
Um,
make sure that we're thinking that me and people like me are thinking about it right. What we see is unethical, and some of us
exactly.
just need for that to be confirmed.
It's
And what can
absolutely
we do
true.
about it?
But I don't think people are lost in that. But why is nothing happening? Because people have just decided, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? What can I do? I don't
Yeah.
have anything to do with it. And all of us
Mhm.
have something to do with it. All
Mhm.
of us. And
Mhm.
so that's the misnomer that people have, is that what part do I play in that? I ain't have anything to do with. Well, I just, that hopelessness,
Yeah.
that giving up, right?
Mhm.
And so what we have to get back is our hope, is
Mhm.
our faith, is our sense of diligence that we're
Mhm.
not going to continue to allow this to happen. So people have to start to speak up and speak out. And we're starting to see a little bit of movement, not enough,
Okay.
but we're
We
seeing
are.
a little bit of movement, right?
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we still have this force of people who still want to benefit
Mhm.
and still are saying, and we have people that are willing to go along. Whether you're talking about the
Always.
people who are in jobs that should be doing differently and they
Mhm.
know better. And we know
Mhm.
they know better. You know why we know they know better? Because we have them on tape, on camera saying better. But
Mhm.
they have fallen into the place, well, because they don't want to lose their jobs and their
Mhm.
power and they don't want
Mhm.
to be booted out. And we know what happens when people speak up and speak out. Then they
Right.
are targeted
Yes. In many ways.
in many ways.
Many
And
ways.
people don't want to have to contend with that. So what
Mhm.
they do is then they go along, well, I don't know, and so now you had a whole Senate who did nothing, who said nothing, who allowed the executive branch to
We see
move
it
in a
happening.
way that everybody knows
It's
is
not
improper
right.
and unethical.
Yes.
Everybody
Mhm.
knows it.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's no mistake about it. And
Mhm.
people have at some point said, okay, well, I'm not going that far. And then next thing you know, they're not
There
in
they go.
office anymore.
There they go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you have to decide for yourself when you become a public servant, because that's what you are. You're not in there for yourself. You're a public servant, means you work for the people.
Mhm.
We, the people of the United States of America, not the senator, not the
Right.
representative,
Right.
not the president. We, the people. We have a democracy, but there are people who want to overturn that.
And
So
so,
that's why it's not working as well as it should, because people are not willing to be targeted, so they're basically just retreating into the abyss of unethical behavior.
yeah, and many of us do feel helpless, helpless to the point that we don't involve ourselves in politics or anything that looked like politics. But when you think about it, everything is politics. Education is political. Even the medical profession is political. Everything is political. So
We see
I,
it all is. We see it
all of it.
all the time.
So I don't understand how we can retreat and not do or say anything, but it's happening.
Absolutely. And
Happening most most
nobody
time.
wants to have these tough conversations
Yeah.
about religion and politics. People shy away from those
It's political
conversations.
too. Religion is also political.
Everything is political.
And when you think
And
about it,
and
even
everything relates on some level to
yeah,
ethics as well,
yes,
right?
everything.
So
Yes.
they go hand in hand. But I mean, if people are willing to sink into the abyss of unethical behavior and do nothing and watch these things happen, then that's what we get.
Yeah.
We elect people to represent us. This is the democracy in which we have. This
Right.
is our political system.
Yes.
And it has worked quite some time. And now we're seeing things that we've never even seen before. But
Mm-hmm.
at some point, we all have a moral compass, though.
Right.
And
Right.
so you may not understand everything that's happening or why, but we know when what's wrong is what's wrong.
Yes.
And so
But the
if you're
thing is,
not
what
willing,
do we
it's like,
do
what did
about it?
Malcolm X say? If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
You fall for anything.
So
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
So how can we hold political leaders who are supposed to be working in our behalf? How can we hold them accountable? And in holding them accountable, I think that gives us, the common people, a level of confidence. Right now, we have no confidence in our vote, in politics, in the government, in anything. We have no confidence in it. So I think if we knew how to hold political leaders accountable, and it actually works, then we'll have more confidence in our voting.
I would agree with you. Um, but the work has to be done. And the first step is making yourself knowledgeable and understanding how the process works. If you don't
Okay.
understand how the process works, you don't understand what's going on. You're talking,
Hmm.
into the air, and you
Yeah.
have no substance to your conversation, at least any
Hmm.
reasonable substance, right?
Okay.
So making yourself knowledgeable is important. Don't just repeat what somebody else said. Do the
Hmm.
research yourself. Pay attention. Look at what the issues are, right? If you're
Okay.
just ignoring this thing, and it's hard because we're seeing things that are just so disheartening that it
Mhm.
is, you do want to crawl into a hole sometimes and just say, I just don't want to see. I get it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
nothing, we're that's a mistake, right? Because you might be able to do that for a few hours, but you got to
Yeah.
get back on the job.
You do.
And so making yourself knowledgeable, understanding how the process works is the first step. But then you can't stop there, because now you're a bowl of knowledge with
Hmm.
no teeth,
Right.
right? So now that means you got to engage. You got
And
to
so
engage in the process.
we're going to take another
Once you
break. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, I want you to tell us how to engage in the process,
Okay.
especially our young people.
Yes.
What if you could have bought $1 of Bitcoin in 2009 when it was worth less than $0.01, just a fraction of a penny? That means $1 could have bought you over 1,000 Bitcoin. Fast forward to March 2026. With Bitcoin trading around $70,000 to $80,000, that same $1 could have grown to tens of millions. Now imagine discovering Amazon in 1997, Apple in 1980, or Facebook in 2004, right at the beginning, before the world caught on. History shows us those who recognize change early and take time to understand it are often the ones best positioned for the future. What if the next big shift is already happening right now, and most people still don't see it? Welcome to Breaking Free. Breaking Free is more than a book. It's a movement. Do you know money is changing? Do you know what digital money is? What crypto is? For just $5.99, you receive the Breaking Free ebook and audiobook. And right now, Breaking Free also gifts you crypto for free, giving you access to unlock the app, training, a reward payment system, and more. Inside members receive access to learning resources like AI, crypto, wellness, and practical tools to help you learn, grow, and move forward with confidence. Help educate, motivate, and elevate others while earning crypto rewards. No middleman, no delayed payments, no centralized control, just automated crypto rewards. Just by helping two people break free with us, our community grows and more opportunities can open for everyone. If you're ready to learn, and if you want to understand where money is heading, Breaking Free could be exactly what you've been looking for. Speak to the person who sent you this video and book a presentation to learn more. We'll see you on the other side of Breaking Free.
It's funny. I watch newscasters and podcasters all the time, and they're like, "Let's take a break because we got to pay the bills." And here I am. It's just so strange how life is. It takes you in different paths that you did not anticipate.
And then you
So,
start to understand, right?
and yes, you gotta experience things
Yes,
in life in order to get a full understanding of certain things. So,
that's right.
uh, how can we hold our political leaders accountable? What are the
Well,
steps?
well, to your point, until you get engaged, you really don't understand, right? You don't understand the process. You don't know who the players are. You don't know
Yes.
what um political leader is supposed to do what. Many
Yes.
people are confused about what the president even does. People haven't
Mm-hmm.
even read the Constitution. I know you had to take that test when you were in high school and grammar
We all
school,
did.
but
And
you
college.
have
We
to
took it in college
reread the
too.
Constitution.
Okay.
Reread the Constitution. Look at what things, if, and I do this to my students, I teach constitutional law. So I do this when I'm teaching my students. I actually have a constitutional law book that I carry around with me to read excerpts from the Constitution
Okay.
verbatim so they can know what it says and
Okay.
then indulge in explaining what that means. If you look at all of the branches of government,
Mm-hmm.
legislative branch, executive branch, and judicial branch, look at how many things the president is responsible for. Look at how many things Congress is responsible for. Look at how many things the judicial branch is responsible for.
Okay.
And if you look at it, it's amazing. Congress has so much to do. Think about it. You have so many more Congress people, which is the House of Representatives
House of
and the
Rep.
Senate.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have so many more
Yeah.
representatives
Mm-hmm.
in that legislative branch than
Yeah.
you do. You got one president.
Right.
You have plenty of plethora of judges on different levels,
Yes.
on the trial level, the appellate level, as well as the, you know, state supreme and the federal Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
level. But they're all interpreting law. We just got to have a lot of them because we have to have several courts.
Right.
But think about, you got one president. That one president can only be responsible for so much. Congress, on the other hand, they're responsible for a whole
A
bunch of
lot.
stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're responsible for the post offices and all kinds of stuff, which is why when we heard about certain things happening with our post offices, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Came from Congress,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And when you have the branches of government, we are generally, for all intents and purposes, although we do have independence, and I'm not, minimizing them, but for
Yes.
all intents and purposes, we have a, you know, bifurcated system between Democrats and Republicans in the majority, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what happens then if you have a a president of one particular uh, party, political
Mm-hmm.
party, and then you also have a Congress that is ruled by the majority of people of that same political party, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have judges that have been put in place by that
By that
same
political.
political party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. So they have the majority and they're able to accomplish a lot more. And why? Because Senate does a lot of those things within the Congress. And
Right.
if you have the majority of the Congress and the House of Representatives
Mm-hmm.
that are ruled by the same political party, or they have the majority, I won't say ruled, but they have the majority as the same political party as in the executive branch, then they can do the bidding.
Right.
The 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 people that are going to be put in place in the in Congress, they're going to try to keep putting more people within their political party in Congress to keep that majority. So that means something,
Yes, it does.
right? So now you
Yes.
got that majority working with, and they have, I just told you, they had a majority of the responsibilities. When you
Right.
look at the numbers of things that they have to be responsible for, and then you
Mm-hmm.
got them working with the executive branch and then working with the judicial branch, so that when the judicial branch goes to interpret the things that the executive branch wants to do, they have judges that can do what? Rule in their favor,
Rule in their favor. Yeah.
right? And so, what can we do, you ask? We learn. And when you learn, my mother used to say this all the time, when you know better, you do better.
Do better. Yeah.
Once you learn, you put that education that you've gathered into place.
Yeah.
You then develop your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to start speaking out. You have to start doing, and you don't have to speak as much as you do, really.
Yeah. And
But
what
you
are some of
need
the
to
things that we need to
galvanize the
do?
people,
Okay, how?
galvanize people who are
How?
like-minded, and figure out and strategize what can we do to change this system. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just up to the people that are in political office. They work
Right.
for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have to tell them, do this or you're out.
Yeah.
And so the final thing that I would say is you learn, and when you know better, you do better, you speak
Better.
up, you speak out, and when
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to listen to you, then you vote them out.
That's right.
And your vote does matter. If and
Yeah.
I just wish people would understand, if your vote
Ooh-wee.
didn't matter, then they
They wouldn't
wouldn't
be
work.
trying to take it.
Yes, they wouldn't be working so hard
They
to keep you
wouldn't.
from getting to the polls, to
That's
tell
right.
you that, oh,
That's right.
you don't matter, and we're going to shut down polls in your area. People,
Mm-hmm.
you got to pay attention. Nobody is
Mm-hmm.
going to do that if you don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You do matter. That's exactly what they want you to think. And think about it. What do enemies do? They want to what? Manipulate you to think
Mm-hmm.
something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we've got to stop listening to the rhetoric, and we
Right.
have to change our thinking and change our behavior.
Right.
And the more of us that are able to pull together, galvanize, change the system, get together and figure out and strategize how we're going to. This is so important. The midterm elections. Everybody talks about the presidential election and
Yes, but this was
all
more
that.
important.
These
Mm-hmm.
midterm elections are
Mm-hmm.
important,
Yeah.
and we've got to get out and vote. I don't care if you got to push, walk,
Or
ride the bus,
however.
whatever you got
That's
to do,
right.
you got
Whatever
to
you
get
got
to
to
the
do.
polls
Yeah.
all across this country,
Yeah.
and stop thinking that you don't matter. That's the biggest hoax that we have, because as when they can, and we know this from history, when they can manipulate you and make you believe you don't matter, then you sink to do nothing,
And then
because you
once you think to
believe.
do nothing, they win.
Exactly. And that's
And
the
our
whole
life
game
remains
plan.
difficult. That's the game plan.
That's
And
the
you know,
game
it's
plan.
surprising to me how that same game plan continues to work.
It's still
I
in
heard
play.
that same game plan before started voting, before I was able to vote. In when I was a teenager, I heard that game plan. That
Hmm.
same thing. As a young woman, I heard the same thing. You know,
Yes.
in middle age, in my middle ages, when I was raising children, I heard the same thing. When I taught my children to vote, I heard the same thing. And now at 68,
Yes.
I'm hearing the same thing.
Absolutely. It's like they say, fashion kind of comes back around.
Hmm.
So does this game plan that we're talking about.
Yeah,
It hasn't really changed. It's the same
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
They do
Sweet.
come up with different methodologies,
Yeah, they
but
do.
it's the same concept.
And
How
the
can we
concept
keep
is
people
to
from voting?
that's the concept. How do we ensure that they do nothing?
Right.
That's the
That they
concept.
can't vote, that
Mhm.
they don't they
Mhm.
we keep them in. Remember what the 13th Amendment said. It abolished slavery, except what? Incarceration.
Right.
So now the shift has been from just, saying that you can't say I'm a slave anymore, but there's
Mhm.
a different slavery, and that's incarceration.
Mass incarceration. Yeah.
So what are we doing? We're locking people up for any and everything. We don't care.
Ooh wee.
And to your previous point, if you're sitting up locked in jail, guess what's happening? You're losing your job, you're losing your family, you're losing everything you have while you're waiting, and you could quite honestly be innocent. But
Yeah.
what good is that when you spent years incarcerated, finally be exonerated or found not guilty, and then what? You've lost everything?
You still lost.
So what's the best thing to do? Stop going to jail.
Yeah.
Find a way not to go to jail, people.
Yeah.
And to the young people, you mentioned young people,
Yes.
all of the things that you do, pay attention. Don't let your friends or so-called friends, because some of them don't know what they're doing.
They don't know what
Don't
they're
let
doing or
people
talking about.
mislead you and
Yeah.
get you to do things that you know are wrong because you think it's funny. It's
Yeah.
not funny in the
It's
long
not
run
funny.
because you
Mm-mm.
will not be laughing.
Mm-mm.
They will go on about their business and you will
And
not
forget
be
all about
laughing
you.
anymore.
Yeah.
You will be rethinking your steps and wishing that you made a different choice.
Yeah.
But the time for choice is then, not later.
Right.
Don't allow people to manipulate you into doing things that you know are wrong. All of
Yeah.
these, I mean, we have what's the thing that they're doing now? Going out and
Teen takeovers. Is that what you mean?
team takeovers, smashing
Ridiculousness.
windows and beating up people's
Snatch and
cars. And
grab.
people have
Yeah.
worked hard for those things that they've gotten.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Have some respect,
Right.
not just for other people, but for yourself.
For yourself. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not cute when you end up in jail and nobody's
Mm-mm.
coming to see you. Those friends that you
Mm-mm.
had, not coming.
No, they're not.
They're not coming to get you out.
Mm-mm.
They
They
can't
can't.
get themselves out of trouble. They
They
can't get
can't.
you out of trouble either.
Right.
So,
Right.
the sense of discernment is very important.
Yeah. So how does I think you may have answered this already. How does civics teach us how to talk about hard topics and work with others um even when they disagree?
Well, let's face it, not everybody's going to agree. We know that. Some
Right.
people are going to take a different road.
Mhm.
But and sometimes I don't follow this advice myself. I try. It doesn't always come across.
Mhm.
But we have to remember the rules of engagement. If you disagree with somebody, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
You just have to come back with a different strategy to show them why your point or your argument is better. You're not going to get anywhere just going back and forth, arguing back and forth. You've
Mhm.
got to you've got to bring some type of awareness, something that will trigger something in somebody else to change their mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so arguing that doesn't it rarely helps, right? And I started to reason, when you talk to people, I said, a lot of times we have to do a couple of things when we're learning things. It's not just the substantive information that you learn. You have to learn a level of discernment. You have to learn strategy.
Okay.
You have to also learn psychology, believe it or not.
Yes, I can
How
see that.
people think the way they do, why they think the way they do, understanding, getting to know people in a way that is different, right? Because we're
Mhm.
all different. We all come from different backgrounds and ethnicities and, different places that some people are coming from where they live, nationalities and such. And so we are a melting pot.
Yeah.
I need to understand who you are, why you think the way you think, why you move the way you move. Once I understand that, then I can begin to get a different feel. And now I can strategize about how to target my argument to you or what I need to do. Maybe it's not an argument. Maybe it's something else. Maybe I just need to have you come join me and take a look at something so you can see something different and get a better understanding. The problem
Mhm.
is this world is so divisive that that's the name of the game. Divide and conquer. Keep them separately. Keep them arguing amongst themselves. Keep them at odds. but that's not really what we need. We need to have a better understanding of each other so we
Right.
can relate to one another, and
Mm-hmm.
then we can have a different conversation, right?
Yes.
um
Yes.
but also understanding when people are not sincere. Some people just aren't sincere.
True.
And so you also have to save your sanity, so to speak, and your
Yeah.
arguments for where and when it matters.
Pick your
So
battles.
you also have to have a sense of discernment to say, you know what? I'm sensing that this conversation is going nowhere, or this
Mm-hmm.
person is very rigid and steeped in their position. So instead of trying to fight them on their position, I got to
Mm-hmm.
come a different way, or I need to retreat, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes we have a lot of what I call provocateurs out here.
Right.
And the whole point is just to argue for the sake of arguing, just to create confusion. And
Mm-hmm.
it's sometimes for people it's fun.
Yeah.
You got to save your strength and your sanity for when it's important. So we
Right.
also have to learn when to retreat, and okay, this is argue that my information is going to fall on deaf ears. Let me pull back and let me reevaluate how I want to move forward.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go for one last commercial, and then I have two more questions.
Okay.
Literacy is freedom, and we have a literacy crisis. Children should learn to read from pre K to third grade. They should practice reading from fourth to sixth grade, and they should read to learn beginning in seventh grade and continuing through fourth grade. This video is sponsored by Rico Nance and Chemistry Steak and Brunch House in Hyde Park, Chicago. Okay, so my next question is, what should we understand about our Miranda rights and the Fourth and Fifth Amendments?
Okay. Fourth and fifth, or fifth and sixth?
Fifth and sixth, maybe.
Okay. I just want to check. I can tell you about the Fourth Amendment too, but I just I'm trying to keep on track of what you want to do. All right. So Miranda rights. I think most of us understand that Miranda rights exist and we have them. I think the problem with Miranda rights is most people don't know when they are activated
Mm-hmm.
and how do we invoke them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's first talk about what Miranda rights are.
Okay.
Um, so Miranda rights are, if you've watched any movies or any shows with police and they're arresting somebody and they tell you you have the right to remain silent. Anything
Mm-hmm.
you say can and will be used against
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
You have a right to an attorney. If you can't afford one, one will be appointed to you. Those are the two main things that they're telling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's break that down. The first one is your right to remain silent, that really wraps around the Fifth Amendment. Now, there are multiple things in the Fifth Amendment, but specifically as it relates to Miranda rights, we're talking about your right to remain silent, which is your
Mm-hmm.
right under the Fifth Amendment not to incriminate yourself.
Yeah.
So, if the police wants to ask you questions about something and you don't want to incriminate yourself, what do?
You be
You
quiet.
invoke your right to remain silent,
Yeah.
right? And let me just put this out here for the record. That is the best thing you could do.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine somebody tells you you have the right to remain silent
But you
because
don't.
anything you say, anything
Can
can,
and will
not may, can and will be
and
used
will.
against you in a court of law,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to open your mouth at all? If anything I say,
Right.
you can manipulate, twist around, and do what you want with it. Dig further, ask more questions, you know, manipulate my words against me. Why am I going to talk? But you know what? It's the one thing that people can't stop doing.
In many cases, I was watching NCIS Los
Hmm.
Angeles the other night, and the the person who was arresting the federal agent was a movie, but it happens. Who was arresting the person? He was talking so nice and so kind to him, and he got him to talk that way
Yes, of
by being very.
course.
He wasn't
Of
nasty. He was
course.
just nice, and the person started talking, and it reminded me of a real life situation that that I know about, where the
Absolutely.
person just started talking because the officer was just being nice.
But isn't that how people get themselves into situations?
That's how this
People
person
are
I'm
trying
speaking
to be
about.
nice,
Hmm.
and then the
Yeah,
wolf comes out later,
yeah. Later on.
right?
Hmm.
You
Yep.
have no idea that you're being set up.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you in the beginning, if the police are sniffing for questions and they are trying to get information to solve a case,
Hmm.
please understand they are not likely your friend. And I know a lot of police officers, right? But they're
Hmm.
not likely your friend in that instance. They are looking for something. And if, I'm not saying they're all intentionally trying to twist up your words, but if they don't believe what you're saying or they believe that they're right about something, and we've all
Hmm.
been in situations where we thought we were right about something and we weren't.
Hmm.
You can make a mistake. You can be thinking the wrong thing.
Hmm.
It's human nature.
Right.
But if it's a police officer, they have a gun and a badge and they are asking you questions, do not talk. That's the
Right.
worst thing you can do. It's the easiest thing to do, but it's the worst thing to do. Why?
Okay.
Because if you say nothing, what can they use against you? Nothing.
Nothing.
So
Yeah.
why not leave them with nothing?
Hmm.
And I'm reminded about a movie. I don't know if you saw this. My cousin Vinny.
Yeah. I remember that.
So if you remember, there were two young men, and the police were questioning them, and they were answering because they didn't think they had anything to hide. They really thought that this was like a minimal issue,
Right.
right? And they're
Hmm.
talking about it, and they find that they're in a much more serious case, and they end
Right.
up on trial,
Hmm.
right? And it involves a car that's similar to the car that they were riding in, and it takes a lot of a lot of work and information and all that. I won't watch the movie, it's cute.
Hmm.
But the point is, what you might think that they're talking about, they may not be talking about.
Okay.
And when you start opening your mouth, you don't know what you're opening your mouth to.
Right.
Okay, so remaining silent is very important.
And that's the Fifth Amendment, correct?
That's the Fifth Amendment.
Hmm.
The Sixth Amendment, which is the next thing that the Miranda rights tells you, is that you have a right to an attorney,
Hmm.
which is wrapped into the Sixth Amendment. You have a right to have assistance of counsel, whether you can afford it or not in criminal cases. This does not apply to civil cases.
Okay.
You do have a right to have an attorney, but you're not in civil cases. You're not absolutely given an attorney. You can represent yourself. You can represent yourself in a criminal case, but you know what they say about representing yourself.
It's like a doctor who treats
You
himself.
got a fool for a client, right?
Exactly.
But the point is having an attorney who is skilled in the area of practice, particularly
Hmm.
if you're talking about a criminal case,
Hmm.
it is very important because that attorney speaks for you. They can see ahead. They're trained to understand what questions might be coming at you and what that may entail and how that may affect you negatively. And they can
Hmm.
advise you. Okay, don't
Hmm.
answer that.
Hmm.
Okay, you can answer that question.
Hmm.
This is how far you go. Yeah,
Right.
they can advise you. Not having that person early on in a case can cause you a lot of damage, right? And
Yeah.
so your attorney can try to get some of that stuff, you know, suppressed if possible, if they find grounds for it, but it may not be able to be suppressed. It's just
Hmm.
easier not to talk because then your attorney doesn't have to work to try to suppress evidence or get stuff, you know, uh, found to be inadmissible in court. You don't want to have to do that if you don't have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it doesn't work. So the best thing to do, remain silent. And how do you invoke your rights under Miranda? You invoke your rights by simply saying a couple things. Simple to say. I am invoking my right to remain silent. I do not wish to answer any questions. I would like to speak to my lawyer or
And
my attorney.
what about the Fourth Amendment? That I know that's your right not to have your car searched, for instance, if you're stopped at a traffic stop, right? Or your
Right.
home.
So Fourth Amendment talks about searches and seizures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So being searched by police, when can that happen?
Mm-hmm.
The frisks is a form of a search. When
Mm-hmm.
can that happen?
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody can seize some property that you may have or
Mm-hmm.
arrest you,
Yeah.
right? And so the Fourth Amendment says that we as citizens have the right to be free in our person, places, or things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means your house, your car, your property, it's
Mm-hmm.
yours. But there are certain situations when the police will try to arrest you, search your house, search your car, seize your property if they think that it's related to some type of crime,
Right.
right? Now,
And should
and
you allow?
this goes for um anytime there's an officer that wants to search your car, search your house,
Mm-hmm.
um your answer should be, I don't consent to searches.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that important? Well, a search can lead to evidence that the police feels is relevant to their case,
Mm-hmm.
to a crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't consent, it's like remaining silent, right?
Right.
No,
But
I'm not, unless you have a search warrant
okay.
that is valid and you can show that to me and I can review it and see what things that you're looking for, where you're trying to search, because every warrant is supposed to designate what items are to be seized and what you're searching for
Okay.
and where you can search. So just because somebody has a search warrant doesn't mean they have a search warrant to search your house, right?
Yes.
Now, unless they're exigent or emergency circumstances, sometimes people can get pulled over.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna ask that
then
question.
there's something that you either have in plain sight in your car, which
Mm-hmm.
is an exigent circumstance. You got a
Right.
gun laying there. Okay,
Yeah.
now you just,
You got a reason.
although we
Yeah.
do
Reason
have
to be
conceal
searched.
and carry laws, your
Mm-hmm.
gun is supposed to be contained and be in certain places. So if your gun is just laying out somewhere, that
Mm-hmm.
might be a problem. If you got drugs just laying out, that might be a problem. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you may have drugs in your trunk. But if you consent to a search and they find the drugs, then you gave them the evidence.
So if you tell them that you do not consent to a search, can they search your car anyway?
Then sometimes they will do that.
Are they
But
allowed
they're
to?
supposed to have a basis. There has
Okay.
to
A
be
reason.
something. You don't just get to
Mm-hmm.
search somebody's car just because you feel like it,
Okay.
unless they either give you consent or you got a search
Mm-hmm.
warrant,
Right.
right?
Okay. Okay.
So that's where you can waive your own rights by consenting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you didn't know this has happened before. People drive people around in their cars. Somebody left something in the car, forgot it. You didn't realize, you don't check your car every day. You gave
Right.
somebody a ride. You didn't know that they left something in your car. They never said anything to you. You get pulled
Mm-hmm.
over. You're thinking
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
Can I search your car? The police say, yeah, I ain't doing nothing. But you
Yeah.
don't know that somebody left something or dropped something by mistake in your car.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Now you're
problem.
in trouble.
That's a
Because guess
problem.
what? That person is not there today.
Right. You
And
are.
that's your car. And if
Yeah.
you allow that to stay in your car for an extended period of time, it's as if it's yours.
Right.
So this is why you don't consent to searches
Mm-hmm.
intentionally, right?
Of course.
Without a search warrant. If they have a valid search warrant, you don't really have a choice legally, right? But if
And
they don't have a search warrant, they need to go get one
right.
or, but no, I'm not going to consent to it because what if maybe it's nothing, but maybe they see something and they think it's something else,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now you're being investigated because they saw a red spot that they thought was blood, and maybe your dog cut his foot,
Right.
and now you're going through all this for because
Yeah.
you consented.
Yeah. And I
So
do know that a lot of young men, especially, I keep talking about young men because it happens so often. They're stopped in, they're driving, they're stopped for whatever reason, they're being stopped, no lights, I don't know, something. But then they end up getting arrested because there was something in the car that they weren't
yes,
supposed to have.
yes,
And that's when a lot of them end up being incarcerated in urban cities, in the jails, not just in Cook County, for a month sometimes several years without being convicted, like we talked about in the
yes,
beginning. And those are minor things.
yes. And let me ask this question.
Hmm.
I know you were asking the questions, but I just thought I would throw it in there myself.
Go
What
ahead.
happens when you get caught up with a friend of yours who you gave a ride to? You think they're going to volunteer that it was their drugs or their
Of
gun?
course not. Of course not. It's still in your car,
Right. But
and
are
you're
they
still
going to
with
come
them.
to save you?
No,
Most
absolutely.
of
I
them
don't think
won't.
so. No,
Most of
I
them
doubt
won't.
it.
And I have, there was a young man who I went to undergraduate school with, and smart young man, smart, okay, graduated early from high school, started
Hmm.
college a little earlier, like in between semesters,
Hmm.
and nice guy, nice guy. He was younger than I was, but he was bigger than I was.
Yeah.
And so he used to call me big sis, right? Almost
Hmm.
a oxymoron.
Yeah.
But you know, we became disconnected as friends because he was brought up in the suburbs, didn't really want for anything, but for
Hmm.
some reason, he had an obsession with hanging around gangbangers and stuff.
I actually know a lot of young men that same way.
And it's like, you're not a
Hmm.
gangbanger,
Yep.
but you want to assimilate to that life,
For what
and you're not
reason?
that.
They don't even know how to behave as a gangbanger.
No.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I got a phone call, and he called, and let me just say this. I remember when we were going to school, he just would like not go to class.
Wow.
And, he just got all F's. And I
Wow.
remember watching him. Is a little space we called inner circle. And
Yeah.
he was sitting there trying to erase his F's and make them other grades, right? So
Oh
his
my
parents
goodness.
would not
Wow.
be upset. And
Wow.
I said, what are you doing? And why are you doing that?
Hmm.
You basically told our in your actions and your behavior,
Hmm.
you have said, I don't want to be here and I'm not going to school. Why are you trying to erase grades now
Right.
on your grade sheet?
It didn't make sense because they're gonna get it from the school anyway.
Which
So what's the
tells
point?
you he's not a real gangbanger
Yep.
because he's worried
Yep.
about what his parents are going to say,
Hmm.
right? And later down the road, we got disconnected for this reason. I got a
Hmm.
phone call, and it was a collect call,
Oh wow.
but I didn't have to accept the call. He was like, I guess somebody else was accepting the call on the behalf, but he was trying to call me like third party or something
Yeah.
from jail.
Wow.
Okay. And I'm like shocked.
Wow.
So, first of all, and I didn't know any better at the time, but you shouldn't be on the phone talking about anything related to any matter of a criminal nature. But he was
While
trying
you're
to
in jail.
explain to me something that happened, and I was like, what? And he was saying that he was innocent. I don't know how, I can only repeat the story. I don't know if
Of
it's
course.
accurate.
Of
But he
course.
said he was innocent, and some friends he was hanging with basically decided to commit some criminal act. But he was driving his car. So they caught him. They didn't catch the rest of them. You think they
Wow.
came to visit him?
Of course not.
So he was locked up. It hit me. It broke me. Like, what? Like the guy that I knew from undergraduate school? Is it?
Wow.
And it was crazy. And so he called me a couple times, and then he sent me a letter. And this is what killed it. The letter came, and my mother got the mail. And she said, "Who is this?" I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was in our communication.
Wow.
I was like,
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
But it just was a sad thing to see him go down that route. And I hope that things got better. I think he may have gotten some kind of assistance or something, and things took a turn. But why go through that?
Yeah.
Stop hanging around people that will get you caught up in negative situations
And a
that you
lot
can't
of
even
young
get
people
yourself
do
out
that.
of
Yeah, a lot of young people do that.
all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And we have all encountered people
Yeah.
that we're around that are not of the same
A criminal nature. No criminal
right,
nature.
the same path, shall I
Yeah.
say?
But they seem to
But
be intrigued by people who are of a criminal nature.
it's crazy. Not
It is
me.
crazy.
Not me.
No.
I would separate myself
You have
because
to. You have to. He's a
you
prime
don't have a
example of why you
choice.
have to. Yeah. Because you can get caught up in something and the people who are at the actual criminals are nowhere to be found.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they will leave you left holding the
They
bag.
will leave you left hanging the bag.
And you will
Absolutely.
regret every minute.
Every minute.
It's not worth it.
It is not.
Save yourselves, people.
Yes,
Save yourselves.
those type of young people or people,
Yeah.
period, they are playing a game that was meant for them to lose. It was
And say
designed
that
for
again
them
for
to
the people in the
lose.
back.
You're playing a game that's designed, created for you to lose, and you will lose.
You
You can't
absolutely
play that
will.
game.
It's like thinking you're better than the slot machines.
Yeah, exactly.
The
You will lose that
probability
too.
is built against you.
Yes,
You're
yes,
going
yes,
to
yes,
lose.
yes.
You may win, but you're probably going to lose
You
much
are
more
going
than
to
you will
lose
win.
much more than you
It's
win.
not worth it. It's not
It's
worth
not
it.
worth it. And with that, our hour is up.
Well,
I want
thank
to
you
thank
so
you,
much. This was fun.
Professor Spencer. Thank you so much. It was fun.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening,
You
a
too.
wonderful week. And
Same to you.
okay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Peace and love. I'm Michelle Renee, host of Education Nation, live on the Female Solution Global Network every second and fourth Sunday from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. The intention of Education Nation is to raise awareness about the literacy crisis and to offer information to combat the problem. The goal is to awaken an army of reading coaches and mentors. You will experience guests who are doing their part in the community to ensure youth in their circles are reading and thinking critically. I look forward to serving you in this capacity. Literacy is freedom, and Education Nation will offer information and strategies to help ensure our young people stay free.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jareb. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.